So moving forward for the future of dating itself, what do you see happening with men and women actually getting together, getting married? Is that still a viable option, you think, or is it going to weigh down even more in the future?
It's going to go down. It's going to be, I'm seeing it like I've been doomsaying for a while. And I think that just like there was like one day in 2014 before you heard about transsexual every day, I think there's going to be a day coming where there's not going to be a day that goes by where people don't look around and go like, well, where's all the families and where's all the kids and what's going on here? I think that's coming. We're not fixing the problems. You know, I watch the whatever podcast. I obviously I'm flipping through all these videos all day. So I'm getting mega doses of it. But even when I go out in the world in places that there's what I'm trying to get at is there's this argument people make that like it's the internet, get off the internet. But everyone's on the internet. The information is affecting everybody. And you go out and you talk to them and they've absorbed all of it. And they're acting accordingly.
Yep.
And you've got women just offering men deals that are no good. Like I've been talking to a lot of guys my age about who they're dating, and the situations are terrible. There was one guy I knew who was explaining to me, and like I think he was trying to rationalize it. He was trying to tell himself a story about why it was okay. He was dating this woman who continued to see her ex who didn't want to date her. So he was the bad boy, and then he was like the cleanup guy, and he was like, well, there's many ways to have relationships. Like he just wanted to find a way to feel good about it because that's all that he had on offer. And as that gets worse, because I don't see it getting better, men are just going to check out, and they have been. Like there are some guys in my fan base, in my comments, who there's nothing I can say. They're so traumatized that if I tell them your best option is to just get better as a person, they will snap on me and they'll say, oh, you want me to just be a slave to the system? You want me to go work 60 hours a week and pay all my taxes to people who, you know, just call me an incel? And it's like, no, I just said get in shape or something. They don't want to do anything because they're not getting anything back. So
yeah, there's definitely degrees.
Yeah, I don't know if that's getting better.
Yeah, you're 100% right, man. The black pill is absolutely real. A lot of guys are black pilled where they're like, hey, no level of self-improvement matters, right? They say looks are the only thing. It doesn't matter if I increase my status or my money. Looks are everything. Then you got the other guys that, you know, that are doomsdayers, and they say, you know, I'm just going to get prostitutes. Or then you got other, like, what I realize is there's different ways to deal with it. Some guys go full on MGTOW, right? And, you know, say I'm going all the way away from women. A lot of those guys are also black pilled and saying I'm going and their reasoning for going away from women is because they're black pilled. Other guys are like, you know what, I'm just going to play the game and deal with the marketplace the way it is and self-improve and adapt. And then other guys say, well, I'm just going to change the marketplace, so I'm going to go somewhere where I automatically have higher sexual market value. This is why we've seen the explosion of the passport bro over the past 5 years. It's actually like incredible. Like being a passport bro used to be like a kept secret. This is like what Roosh used to talk about in the early 2000s. And this is why he got banned from so many countries. He wrote bang Ukraine, bang Poland, whatever. I vividly remember like Roosh V talked about how he'd be in Poland and he'd hold his American passport like this and just like fan himself with it, and girls would come up to him and I was like, what the fuck? But obviously being a passport bro now, secret's out. You can't you're not able to do the things you used to do before. But it's just like there's been different ways to adapt to the sexual marketplace. But I think the bottom line is simply that it's very difficult to deal with women in the modern day society, I think is what it is.
Actually, you made a good point about passport bros. Home math, is that a viable option, you think, for guys to go down that path and go somewhere else out of the U.S. to find a dream girl?
I don't know that much about the different cultures and the rates of success that people are having. I do know that a lot of, like, you know, I grew up in a suburb, like a pretty middle to upper middle class suburb. I grew up with just a bunch of white guys mostly. It was a pretty diverse place for the time, but it was like, I don't know, 90% white. All those guys that I grew up with, it's like almost all of them have Hispanic wives and girlfriends. And I talk to them about it. I've been talking to them about it for a while, and they'll say things like white women are just going insane. There's something wrong with them. So they definitely, from what I'm seeing, like very directly in my first order contacts, like the people who I've known for a while, they're taking those options. They're taking those options. They're getting better results. I don't know, like what it's like to go to Colombia versus Brazil versus Vietnam or anything like that, but the fact that the Western expectations that have been drilled into Western women haven't reached these places yet. Like you said, it's starting to.
Keyword, yeah.
You're starting to. Yeah.
It is starting to, yeah. So the fact that it hasn't got there, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a cheat code. I can go somewhere else and be treated, more appropriately. But then when you bring them back and they're in that culture, they're just going to absorb that too.
100%. The key is don't bring them back.
I have a clip
to the
here.
US.
Yeah.
I have a clip here that I want to show you. Patrick Bet-David and Adam Sosnick got in an argument over this topic, actually. I'm going to play a clip here.
Recently?
Yeah, this is like a week or two ago. And they're this is before they had this little argument. But I want to play this clip because this kind of precipitated it. And I want to get Matt's take on this. Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see it? Okay. We're just making sure that the audience can see it as well. And let me, we're going to fire it up right now.
All right, here we go.
Fault. American women are giving up on marriage. When Chelsea Handler, my ex, when we had that internet beef 3 years ago, it's because I was citing a report from Morgan Stanley called the She Economy. Not the economy, but the She Economy. And basically saying by 2025, which the year we're in now, they anticipate that 45% of working women between 18 and 40 will be childless, no married, no kids. Well, the report was wrong because they said 45%. Tom, you're a numbers guy. What number is it now?
51.4. 51.4 according to the American Enterprise Institute.
Thank you, Tom. You had one job and you got the stat wrong. I love you anyway. However, 51% of women have nothing going on. No marriage, no kids, no nothing. That's up literally 10% since 2000. So Chelsea Handler, you might want this no kid, all drugs, all sex toy thing got going on in your life. And that's great because you're famous and you're a feminist and you got millions in the bank. But my question is this. For the 38-year-old woman who's making 60 grand a year working as whatever job. For the 34-year-old woman who's basically focused on her job and not a family. For the 44-year-old woman who's now considering having a baby with herself. Did modern feminism work out for you? Chelsea Handler, it's all your fault. America.
And Chelsea Handler's just one. I mean, there's a bunch you could blame Gloria Steinem. You can talk about a lot of these feminists who, whatever. I won't go.
For sure.
We're on FreshandFit, so I won't go further than that. But these feminists, a lot of them, the Sex and the City lifestyle, etc. They put out this propaganda that you can have it all, Sheryl Sandberg, etc. And we're actually beating what we anticipated. We thought it was going to be 45%. Now it's up to 51%. And it kind of goes with what you were saying before, Matt, that it's going to get worse, and we're actually getting there faster than we thought we would.
Yeah. Yep, it is looking like the birth rates are also getting bad faster than we thought they would, which is there's something called, I don't know if you guys know about accelerationism. There's something to be said for if we see the problems move faster, then people will be motivated to solve them sooner. I do really hate it when people like Chelsea Handler, when rich celebrities who have every opportunity in the world, like the top percent of a percent of everyone who's ever existed, tell normal women that you can live like this and you can have infinity options. I don't like it when older women tell younger women waste your 20s, they're not important. They're for having fun and doing whatever you want. It's no, that's 10 years of your life, and it's usually the best 10 because you're still young but you have freedom usually. I definitely, that messaging is so bad. It's either when someone gets something that wrong, it usually is not a mistake. It usually is either stupid or evil. And I don't think that many people can be stupid. I'm worried that they might be spreading that kind of message on purpose, deliberately, to make these problems worse.
And I want to add in, so what ended up happening after this conversation was, Patrick Bet-David and Adam actually got in a pretty heated argument over this. And the long story short is Patrick Bet-David said, well, the reason why you're finding these women that are, not marriage material or long-term, because Adam was saying this is a problem and it's, it's pervasive in all groups of women. And Patrick Bet-David countered and said, well, you're looking in the wrong places. And I actually thought Adam was correct on this. And I did a whole breakdown there, but I won't go into too much detail. But, I think where you meet the women, that might mitigate some of the risks and the problems, right? Like, for example, meeting a girl at Barnes & Noble is probably going to lead to a higher likelihood of finding a better girl than meeting a girl at the club. But that's not going to absolve you of the inherent risk of dealing with modern women in the West in general. And I don't think PBD understands that because he's been married for like 20, 30 years. And, you know, obviously Adam is still in the marketplace. And it's amazing to me how like married men just simply don't have a finger on the pulse of what modern women are like. I mean, hell, if you got married 5 years ago, I would argue that you're probably going to be lost with how modern women operate today.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts
The
on that?
Barnes and Noble girls are also, they also can be pretty bad. Like I dated a bunch of intellectual kind of like literature girls, and you would really be surprised that how they can parlay that sort of intellectualism into, they're just very good with words, you know, they're smart and they know how to read, and they're very good at using words to just legitimize, you know, doing all this stuff that is destroying everything. They talk about it being, you know, a new age. They always say it's the year, it's the 90s, it's 2025, as if that, you know, changes human nature. And they talk about, what is it? There's that book, The Ethical Slut, right? Like ethical non-monogamy, I think it's called. So it's like, this has been kind of an issue for me in what I do, because I do a little bit of life coaching. I give people a little bit of advice. I can't give advice about everything. And people will come to me and say, where do I find this kind of person? And I go, geez, I don't know if they exist. Like, I don't have every answer to everything. And sometimes it's because I don't know if there is one. There was a girl yesterday on my live stream who asked me, she said she was 18 and she wanted to be a good girl and get married young and do everything the right traditional way. And she said, where do I find a guy like that? I don't know. I mean, you want a guy who's what, 24 years old and has his life in order, has money, has a house, and he's got all that, and he's willing to marry you instead of playing around? I don't know where to find that, you know? It's like, how far past the point of no return are we?